Coming back from the bye, maybe surprises you, but it seems like it took a long time for that thing to go by. And so our guys have come back benefiting from it as far as the workload and all of that. Some guys, aches and pains and all that, they get the benefit. But also you can feel the energy of our guys ready to get back to work and get going. Actually, we start back up today, and we got a little bit of preliminary work yesterday to warm up for today, and away we go. So it's a big trip for us, going all the way out to MetLife and to play the Giants, and we're going to do everything we can to play a heck of a football game.
How's Michael Bennett doing now after a week with the foot issue?
He went through walkthrough today. He's going to, I think, practice tomorrow. He's going to work a little bit, so he feels that he's going to be able to play, but he's going to need all these days to, to keep healing. So good signs today, though.
How about Cliff Avril? Is there anything new on him?
There's a little bit that we're continuing to help him look and figure out, what comes next. I can't say anything to you today. Maybe next couple of days we'll know more. He's continuing to see specialists to make sure he knows what his situation is, and we're encouraging all of that. And we really don't have an official update for you yet.
With Luke, do you have a better sense of his timetable for coming back?
Not really. We got to wait and see. We're going to be optimistic that maybe he can make it back in 4 or 5 weeks, and we'll see what happens. And maybe that's possible, maybe that isn't. We got to see how he heals and how he comes back around. He definitely needed to get some things cleaned up, and that was taken care of, and everything went beautifully. So he's very optimistic as well. So we need to see what happens here, and really won't be able to know probably for 3 weeks anyway to know where he is.
What are your options there at this point in time for left guard?
Mark Lewinsky started all last year there, and so Mark is working there, and Ethan Posick will also work there. They're going to share time this week, and we're going to give those two guys a chance to battle it out and compete for it and see how it goes.
How have you seen Ethan kind of develop along so far? Where is he at for you at this point in time?
He's done a marvelous job for us, and he's been very valuable to us because he's so flexible, because he can play tackle, guard, and center on both sides, and so that's a rare flexibility that you find in a young player. He hasn't had any trouble with the learning of it. It's just experience, game speed, and those kinds of things that he'll grow measurably as he gets playing more. But he's done a terrific job for us, and we're really pleased. And that's why we're positioning him to compete for this job and see how that goes. It's great to know that we have Glow, who's started for us and played for us a bunch, and so we'll see how that plays out. I wouldn't be surprised if both guys play this week.
How did Luke's knee impact him as far as in the game? Was it lateral movement, push off, fatigue in the fourth quarter?
It was kind of a general concern that he had. He wasn't limited in any of his directions, but it took him a couple days to get back to recover from the games, and we had to manage him accordingly. He handled it beautifully in terms of the process and the preparation of it to get through each week, and it just got to the point where it wasn't getting any better, and we needed to do something for the long haul, and so we'll get him back to finish the season, and I'm not sure when that'll happen, but when he comes back, he shouldn't be restricted anyway either. He should be fine.
You mentioned going back to MetLife. It's been different opponents and everything else, but just is it nice having familiarity with the place? When you're
always, yeah, always. It just helps that we've been there and we know kind of the lay of the land a little bit, and it's a great place to play and a great crowd and all that, and it'll be a great challenge for us.
How much of, you mentioned the energy that the guys have this week, how much of that is physically being rested versus having a chance to dive into the film? Like KJ yesterday was saying, when you go back and you look at it, they're excited that it's stuff within their own control. Like they've got a little bit of perspective where they know the mistakes that they need to work on and change.
So as a great former Jet once said, the mental is much more physical. Yeah, everything is good. Everything's on the upside. The guys do have a little bit more time. They were able to watch stuff last week. They got to watch the Sunday night game and have that experience. All of the information that comes across the screen and, on those games are helpful. Yeah, and I think that just their mentality is in such a good place that it's a great spot for us to kickstart into this next phase of the season, and we'll try to take full advantage of the fact that they've had extra time to work, study, and rest as well, and they're feeling good about that.
With With the Sunday night game that they were able to see, how much can you trust what the Giants did on Sunday, given the fact that they were just kind of feeling their way through that situation?
Well, they looked great. They played a terrific football game against an excellent team in one of the most difficult situations you can play in. So, you know, we saw them at their height of their year right now, which was great for us to see them at their best. I thought that the way that they handled the injuries that they had last week and all that went on was incredibly well handled by their coaching staff and their players and their leadership and all of that. And double that because of the team that they've played against too. Denver has been playing great football, and you know, they had given up next to nothing on the ground, and then they came out and ran football up and down the field pretty well, and so there was a lot to be gained from that, you know, and very positive for them.
Any of the guys that could return to practice this week, Deshaun or anybody, going to be able to return this week?
No,
or?
they're not ready to do that yet. We're going to stretch those weeks out, but the guys are working hard and they're pressing for it now. They're pushing to get back. Deion Jordan is, and of course Shed. I know you probably saw that Malik is now back to working out some, and that process begins. I don't have any indication of what that means, but it's great for the young guy to have a chance just to get back involved and get active again. So we'll see how that goes.
What can he do now then, I guess?
He's working out with the trainers, and they're just kind of re-entering the conditioning phase of things, just trying to get him back in some shape and all of that, just to get him moving. So it's a very positive sign, you know, for him, and glad he can finally get going again. You know, he really wants to be playing football.
Has that pretty well been off the table for him ever since the accident to be able to do that?
He hasn't been released to do that until 2 weeks ago, and then so he had 1 week, and then he had the bye week, and he's back at it. It's a slow process to get him back out. I mean, he hasn't done anything for months, so and we're being very careful, of course, and all that. But it's a good sign for him.
You brought up the Giants' run game against Denver. What were they able to do so well, especially against the Broncos, who have been really good at stopping the run?
Yeah, they schemed well, and they popped a couple runs on you know, kind of game plan plays that worked really well for them. Both the running backs, you know, are good football players, and you know, it gives them a variety of stuff that they can do. But Orleans jumped out of there. He had a couple big-time plays in the game and got them going. So that's a real positive. Everybody loves to see that running game go to affect all of your offense, and it really helped them out.
Looks like they're going to probably lean on their tight ends with all the injuries at receiver, just the guys they have there.
Yeah, well, Ingram's, you know, he's a fantastic prospect, and he's leading them in receiving already, you know, so they've already trusted in him, and he does a lot of stuff, you know, there's a variety of things they do. Rhett Ellison is a terrific football player. We've always, you know, admired Rhett's play because he's tough and does everything, blocks and runs and catches and all of that. So they got a good group. They're loaded.
Bobby Wagner obviously set a really high bar last year with what he did, but how have you seen him this year? And I mean, is he continuing?
I don't think he's skipped a beat. I think he's been right on it. You know, he was so fit last year. You know, played so consistently throughout the season. He had a great off season, and he came right back at it again, and it's just really just moved right into the same mode. Does a fantastic job of leading us and directing, you know, all that we're trying to do. But he's at the top of his game. I mean, he's really on it.
The quarterly meetings are in New York with the owners this week. Assuming Peter McLaughlin is representing the Seahawks, did you guys have a conversation about what you hope to accomplish?
We have been in ongoing discussions about, you know, what's coming and you know, where it could go, but we really didn't know what the direction of the meetings were going to be other than to start. And they got started. I just know a little bit that they had good preliminary meetings, and then it got kicked to the full owners group, I guess, and they'll carry on that conversation. But we don't know anything about what's taking place. Yeah, we're all listening and watching very intently to see what comes. I got to say that just the initial signals from the league, kind of as they've been kind of leading into these meetings and their intent, I think is really positive, and they're really excited to see that you know, they're taking some steps and working hard at it, and not sitting around waiting. They're going for it and trying to figure out what the next steps are. They'll move judiciously, of course, but you can just tell that there's a climate of openness and willingness to exchange and to work with the players in a big way. And you know, I don't know what's come of it, but that's just the initial feeling going in, and it's really encouraging.
Along those lines, you tweeted about this, but Doug Baldwin being someone that's co-authoring that letter with Roger Goodell, just, I mean, how well prepared is he to be the guy doing that?
Well, Doug has worked really hard, and he has tremendous background just in his family and all that to kind of have a step in the right direction here, to understand what's going on and what's necessary and all that. I couldn't be more proud of Doug representing us and the players with his perspective, and I think it's really exciting to see that the league recognizes that as well, and they see something in there that was worth kind of joining up and stepping ahead with. This is really important stuff, and so. I mean, that adds to the kind of the energy of it and the excitement of it, and that really the optimistic outlook moving forward, that we can do something and make some change and start to work together and really do something powerful. I know there's been so much question about why do players take these opportunities to speak out or to demonstrate or whatever. Well, it's because they care, and it's because they're well equipped and they have an opportunity to do something that others might not be able to do, and they're doing it for the right reasons. And this is just another indication of that. And anybody that sees it otherwise, I don't think understands. I don't think they get it. And so I think we need to. I think you're seeing the league joining. Maybe look at it as locking arms with the players to see what we can do in a positive way and create change, and that's fantastic stuff.
How are you thinking that Glowinski and Posick will kind of fit into the left side of the line there with Reese, and how do you continue to push forward, obviously having to make the change there moving forward?
I think they're going to. Well, I have high hopes. I mean, I think we're very fortunate to have Glow in that competition because of his background. He started, and he's played a lot of football for us, and he knows our system. He's been on that side, all of that stuff. So that's a positive move. But we're so encouraged by Ethan's play that we want to give him a chance to see how far he could take it in the next week, in the coming weeks here, and see what it means. This week may not be the indication of what happens for the next few weeks. We're going to start the competition and let these guys go at it. Both guys are athletic. Both guys move equally well and can do everything we need. It's just going to be how they fit in, their ability to handle the challenges of the scheme and the calls and all that. Happens to be a very difficult preparation against the Giants, who do a ton of stuff. And so we'll see how the guys handle it. But I have very high expectations that they're going to do fine and they'll fit in well.
Does it change the communication between whether it's Glow and Britt or anybody along the offensive line? Because I think Joko brought a different level of that.
Somewhat, yes, it does, and it's just because of the makeup of the individuals. Some guys are more, more verbal than others, and so there is some of that, and we want to see how and take the time to figure out what is the best combination for us, and I can't tell you that yet. We're going to work through that and figure that out. But both guys are capable, and Reese has been a good communicator for us, so he's going to be part of it. And of course, Justin is a big part of this too, as he sets the conversation in motion.
Do you anticipate having to add anybody from the outside to add depth on the line?
We're always looking. We're always looking, and that's probably what you saw this past week.
What is the situation with you guys and Brandon Albert? I know he was here.
We talked to him, spent a good while with him, but came to no agreement on anything.
You mentioned the Giants' defense, the challenges they present pass rush-wise. I think they had 4 sacks last week.
Yeah. They came out of the chutes pretty fast and furious the other night, we have to get ready, because it's not just their front four, it's the scheme that they use and the people that they bring off the edges and all that stuff that add to it. They were particularly on fire the other night.
Did Reese Odhiambo get back to normal now?
Yes. Yeah, he's fine now.
CJ too is still looking like he's going to be okay.
Yeah, well, he looks like he's ready to go. We're going today, counting him practicing full speed.
How have you seen Sheldon just fit into the locker room in a new environment for him?
He's fit in extremely well. He's got a great personality. He's got a great competitiveness about him. Our guys, I think, took to him within hours of him being here, because he's just got a way about him. Very confident kid, which adds to our group, and he's got a good makeup, and so it's a fantastic fit. He's done a really good job. I think our players have really embraced him.
Anything else?
Speaking of embracing.